Jet fans, what's going on? Happy Sunday. I wish we were in September on a Sunday talking actual football news. Instead, we're trying to decipher all these different rumors that are out there. Most of them bogus, but at this point, it's hard to believe anything. There have been so many rumors that, a lot of people thought were bogus, and then they start, becoming true, and it's like, well, what do you believe? Obviously, I can't picture any possible scenario in which the Jets would trade Le'Veon Bell, especially after paying him, I think, like $13 million guaranteed for this season already. Essentially, it would be them paying him to go be an elite player on another team. I don't care what draft compensation you might be able to get back. Any team that wanted him just could have signed him to the contract in the first place when he was a free agent. So I don't think they would be getting anything that would be nearly enough to replace him when you've got Elijah McGuire and Ty Montgomery as your top two backs. So again, I think that's complete nonsense. But again, just the fact that all these rumors are out there, that this is what Le'Veon Bell is reading in his first offseason before he's even played it down in a Jets uniform, it's disgusting. It's such a shame because this offseason was going so well. We were off the back pages, the Giants were stealing it, and now, we're the circus again, we're the laughing stock, and it was so unnecessary. I could understand if, they had wanted to fire McCagnon initially, but that's not what Chris Johnson's saying. He had trusted him for this offseason, and the results were pretty positive, but because him and Gase had some disagreements, we go back on that, and now, we're going to let Gase essentially pick his own general manager. What has Adam Gase done to warrant that level of trust? That's what I just don't understand, and again, we're beyond, the initial shock of it, after the first 24, 48 hours. This is 3 days later now, and a lot of people still don't understand what Adam Gase has done to warrant this level of trust and to unseat the sitting general manager of 4 years and install his own guy. I don't believe the Peyton Manning rumors, but I will say this. The fact that Peyton Manning called Chris Johnson and said, hey, you should hire this guy Adam Gase, and now 4 months later, we're talking about Mike McCagnon getting fired and rumors about Peyton Manning becoming the GM, it sounds a little bit fishy, almost, like a little coup by Gase and Manning to, get their wish and have full control over this Jets team. However it plays out, we're all in the same boat. We want the Jets to pick the right general manager. If you listen to Brian Baldinger, he's kind of indicating, it seems like he's indicating that the Jets are closing in on their guy, which most people seem to think is going to be Joe Douglas from Philly. He thinks it would be the right guy. A lot of people think it would be the right guy. Comes from a good background with the Ravens and Ozzie Newsome over there. He's been in Philly for a number of years as well. Two well-respected organizations who run things the right way. But the issues with the Jets are always going to start at the top with ownership. And until that is cleared up, it's hard to have a lot of faith in what they're doing. And if they don't hire Joe Douglas, who would essentially be Adam Gase installing his own GM, then you might even have a bigger problem, because then it means that Chris Johnson is the one picking the GM. And again, you would be essentially having a GM working with a head coach that he didn't choose, maybe a head coach that he doesn't even want. And we'd be right back to square one again, with Idzik inheriting Rex and that whole mess. So, I'm trying to stay positive through it all, but Adam Gase just acting like a complete child this offseason is really making me lose a lot of confidence that he learned from what he did wrong in Miami. And that's the biggest issue, is that when he was hired, we were all kind of sold. All right, well, he's a bright offensive mind. He can work with quarterbacks. The biggest thing for him, though, he's got to learn from the mistakes that he had in Miami. He pissed a lot of people off, his star players, his front office members. Can he learn from that? All right, can he deal with not having control like he had there? Clearly not, because disagreements on a few $1 million for Le'Veon Bell and CJ Mosley and not getting a blocking tight end in Darren Fells supposedly triggered his outrage to move his draft seat out of the public television view on ESPN and get in Chris Johnson's ear and force the GM out, right? Disagreements like that forced him to act like a petulant child and forced the GM out. So that doesn't give me any confidence that he's learned from his mistakes of the past, right? That's more of the same Adam Gase that you ask any Dolphin fan, that's why they wanted him out. That's why he lost his job. Fights with the owner, fights with front office members, fights with star players, and I'm sure all these Jets players, Leonard Williams, Marcus May, all these guys that are now getting rumored to possibly be on the trade block, I'm sure they're loving it, right? That their head coach doesn't want them. Right? I'm sure Mosley and Bell love hearing that, Gase didn't want to pay them the amount that they got. I'm sure all these draft picks love hearing that Adam Gase didn't want anything to do with the draft process, right? That he pretty much removed himself from it and let Maccagnan handle it. And that's another thing, right? If we're going to rip Maccagnan because he deferred to Bowles on some things when it came to the draft in years past, and in this year he took a little bit more control of it, he was a little bit more authoritative and said, no, I'm going to do it my way. I'm going to make my picks. I'm going to bring in talent. You coach up the talent. That's your job to do. My job is to pick the talent. I like that. But, of course, no matter what Maccagnan does, we're going to make him the bad guy. So we decide, all right, if that's his approach, shame on him. He should be fired because he's not working with the new head coach. No matter how you slice it, the power structure, it needs to be corrected. Have the head coach report to the GM. GM reports to the owner. Have a chain of command that actually works. Having these guys on the same footing clearly is not working, and it's causing all these issues. I hope, I pray that Adam Gase actually is the right guy, that he knows what he's doing, and he's going to put a right general manager in there. But it makes no sense from his point of view why he chose to do it this way, because now all of the pressure is on him, right? If this season went bad, it would have been all on Maccagnan. Maccagnan gets fired, and then what are we talking about, right? Then what are we talking about? Maccagnan getting fired, and Adam Gase probably still in the same boat that he's in now, picking his general manager. But the fact that we did it now, now all the pressure is on Adam Gase. If this year does not go well, there's a chance that he could be fired. There's a legitimate chance that that's what would happen, that he would be the one that gets fired. He has put all the pressure on himself, especially with the media. All right, I mentioned it in the last video. The media is out for blood right now with Adam Gase. Their sources are gone. They were lied to by him. They were lied to by Chris Johnson. They were made to look like fools. They are going to be out to destroy him. So he has put all this enormous pressure on himself to produce right away. And if he does, again, it's not going to be an issue. Everyone's going to love him. He'll be the hero. There's going to be no complaints. But if this season doesn't go well, instead of the blame going to Maccagnan, now it goes to Adam Gase. So there are so many different levels of this that just don't make sense. And you can't read all these stories and listen to all these interviews and press conferences over the past few years and then watch how it's unfolded these last few weeks and not have concern with the direction and the leadership at the top of this team. I'm trying to stay positive, but it's not easy. Everyone enjoy your Sunday. Enjoy the series finale of Game of Thrones. Talk to you guys soon.